Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of You Don't Need a Hamster, You Need a Therapist. Welcome back to season 2 as well, I should say. I know we're actually on episode 2 of season 2. However, we didn't know that the episode that went out as the first episode of season 2 was going to be the first episode of season 2 because it was kind of a slightly impromptu break. I think me and Hannah both knew that we were getting to a point where a break was kind of needed, just in terms of how busy our lives were getting and the fact that we always want to be making sure that we're putting out good content for you guys, but with that comes time, and time was really not on our side for a few weeks there. So we recorded a couple of episodes, one of them being the reflection episode, and then we spoke to Lily, obviously Lily Mott, owner of Be The Change Media Network, and we're kind of like, we think a break's coming, it should be soon, and she was like, okay, great, we'll say that's season 1 and we'll get ready to relaunch with a season 2. And we actually realised that the reflection episode was a great episode to end the season on. However, that did mean the other episode that we'd recorded then didn't have any mention of it being season 2. Anyway, that's a very long-winded explanation as to why I am introducing season 2 in episode 2. But I just thought I'd give you a little update and just let you into what's going on. Me and Hannah have had really crazy lives recently, hence why I'm here on my own as well, actually, because she's done 2 weeks, I've just finished 2 weeks of summer school, and then the week before that, she was doing 2 weeks of summer school. And so it ended up being that we have just been so busy and we've just completely missed each other, which has been really rather sad. So I'm here on my own today to record this episode and to talk to you about something that I'm really feeling in my life at the moment, which is that sometimes everything going wrong in life is the best thing that can happen to you. Now, I don't want to be sappy, but I also know that is exactly where this episode is going, in terms of it is literally that thing of when one door closes, a window opens kind of thing. I, this year, have really had that. We've obviously spoken quite a bit about me leaving drama school at the start of this year in February, and I've also spoken a lot about going and getting a job at my theatre school and learning all these new skills and being company stage manager there. And so that has come with a lot of reflection over the work that I've done and the people I've been able to work with and the experiences I've been able to have and the students that I've been able to help, which genuinely, the students are the thing that will get me going. I can't even think about them because you really teaching is a very interesting thing. And even though I wasn't really in a teacher position, but I was in a staff member position and kind of in the most grown up position I think I've ever been in life, of kind of having to be a role model and having to kind of help people through the different things that they're going through. Genuinely, I can see why people devote their lives to it because it was incredible. And I genuinely think that's one of the biggest things that I've got out of this year. It's realising how much I love being able to pass on the things that I've learned throughout my life. And that is not in any way me pretending that my life is anywhere near perfect or all put together or I have the answers to everything, because I absolutely don't. But actually, and I think this is something that we never give ourselves credit for, we all learn so much as we progress through life and at the different stages. And there's actually so much that we can pass on to other people that could make them feel seen or make them feel understood. And it's kind of the point of why we started this podcast, me and Hannah, because we kind of just want it to be most of the time we're just chatting absolute shit, frankly, and we love it and we love just having fun. But I think one of the main reasons why we were going to start it was the kind of trying to promote that feeling of nobody's alone. And I know the podcast industry is such a saturated industry, but actually I think the more voices that are out there, they would better in terms of, people being able to find the specific thing. I know there have been times when I've wanted a podcast on a specific thing and there's not been one. I'm come on, there's millions of podcasts. let's get one on that topic. But just, I think the more people who are sharing their experiences, the better. I don't really know how we got onto that, but what I will say while we're there is that If there is anything that anyone wants us to talk about, me and Hannah would love all of your suggestions, because we've definitely got our topics that we love to talk about, but we also really love it when there's new topics and things for us to think about that potentially we haven't even thought of before. And so if you do have any suggestions, please let us know. But anyway, after tangent about 3,000, let's get back on track. So yeah, having left my job at my theatre school is a reflective time, and actually me and one of my friends who we went to the theatre school together, and now we're both back as staff members, and we were chatting because we went on very different paths and she left a lot earlier than I did. And it was kind of strange, like we were reflecting on how differently our paths went with the director of the theatre school, and we were kind of talking about it, and realising, like, for her, that kind of moment of she was really, really unhappy and that's why she left, and it was a combination of reasons, but obviously no slander to the theatre school because I absolutely love it, and she does too, and obviously she wouldn't be back if she didn't love it, but there was a lot of circumstances going on and she was really unhappy and kind of had come to the conclusion that, you know, maybe theatre wasn't something that she was prepared to do for the rest of her life, and maybe like it had become the expectation. We were talking about expectations and how that had become the expectation. And I know that when she left, after that, she felt really quite lost. She did a couple of different courses and was kind of not having any of it, and she couldn't quite figure out where she was. And we were kind of tracing that pathway from her being really unsure to her now really finding her passion in teaching these kids and having all of these different things that she's interested in, and going and doing these amazing things. She's travelling to Thailand. She's part of Amdram company, so she's still doing the theatre, but not in the professional way that she always thought she was going to. And it actually really struck a chord with me because I think the times I've had the biggest breakthroughs in my life and the times where I've ended up being the happiest have all grown from the points I've been at my lowest. This year was such a prime example of this. Like, this year is just exactly, it's a chef's kiss kind of story to fit with this theme. But we whiz back to February and Millie is just having an absolute mentee bee. A lot's going on, and I was probably in the scariest place with my mental health that I've ever been. And actually, at point of going, fuck, I'm gonna leave drama school because this isn't what I want. Like, this isn't working for me, and I can feel it, and I've been feeling it for a little while, but it's kind of come to a boiling point now, and I'm at the lowest of the low, and I need to go. And then from that, you could not have told me in February that I would be in this place 6 months down the line. I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have believed you if you told me that I have just finished 6 months of being company stage manager, a role that I have absolutely adored. The stress was unmatched. The pressure was crazy, but actually it was such an honour to be given that role and to work at that level with those people that I managed to work with. It was kind of insane. Like, I've made lifelong friends and like such amazing connections, not just industry connections, but just like genuine personal connections with people. And I had the best time doing it and like really felt like I was making a difference. And it was incredible. And then to be saying, I'm moving to America to study acting now. Honestly, wild. And if you told me that in February, I probably would have told you with some very strong language to go away, because I would not have believed you for 1 second. Like, crazy. But this isn't the first time this has happened in my life. And I think that is quite an important thing to kind of like realise and reflect on for me, was that actually a lot of my breakthrough moments, my amazing moments, have come from point of a low point in my life. Mount View, the most incredible year of my life. Insane. Loved it. Like, the best group of people I could ever
have asked to work with, the best environment, everything about that year was almost perfect. I will say almost perfect because I look back at it with such rose-tinted glasses, and actually there was a lot going on that wasn't perfect, but I genuinely feel like that was one of the happiest times of my life. So it's kind of like one of those oxymorons where everything in theory was brilliant and I was so happy and surrounded by love and support and everything was excellent. But I think it's important to acknowledge as well that that can all be happening and you can still be struggling with with personal things, with your mental health. And actually, I really don't think it's a bad thing to say like that those two things can be happening in conjunction. And I don't think that it means that the time that you're having isn't the best time. It's just that life is messy like that. So yeah, but Mount View came after a low point of having some friendship betrayals, having some serious trust issues put into me, frankly, and kind of some not very nice things happening, and me kind of thinking, God, this is rough. And then out blooms Mount View. I mean, one of the earliest examples I can think of this was how I got into theatre in the first place, which was I was having a really tough time. There had been some personal losses in my life and I was really struggling with it as 13-year-olds. 14-year-olds, that stage of life is already really tricky. Add in a bit of bereavement and you're done for. And I was I was very unhappy. I was a very sad little girl. And my therapist at the time was like, right, I think we need something. You need to like find something like a hobby or find something that you can do, an activity that you can do that kind of like raises your mood. And she was like, what do you enjoy doing? And at that point I was having singing lessons and I was like, well, I do have singing lessons. So like, maybe I'll audition for the musical. And she was like, yes, that's the one. And it was our school counsellor. So she went and talked to the music teacher and was like, sign her up, please. And I was like, Brill, let's go. And I did it not having any high expectations. I was kind of like, I'd always kind of enjoyed drama and acting and theatre, and I'd obviously enjoyed singing because I was having singing lessons. And then I did this show, and genuinely after that I was like, no, this is me. I will be doing this for the foreseeable. This is the environment I like the cast, everything. But that turning point came from my first experience of depression and the lowest point I had in my life at that point, kind of thing. Do you know what? Like up until the age of 13, that was my lowest point, kind of thing. And I reflect on that really quite often, mainly because when everyone's like, why do you like theatre? What got you into theatre? When was the point that you knew that you wanted to do theatre? That is obviously my story, but I think also it just keeps happening. And I think there is clearly a pattern. And here is my theory on what the pattern is. I think there is a reason why it is always darkest before the dawn. And that is because at your lowest point, when you are hitting rock bottom, or you don't even have to be hitting rock bottom, but when you are getting to the point of feeling like this is too much now, like when you are getting that far down, that low, something has to change, something has to give. And I think it is at that point, when you're at your lowest, that a decision is made and you almost go, I need to change something. This needs to end. This needs to stop. And that is when you make a switch. And I think, I'm not sure that everyone experiences this, but I feel like it is quite a universal experience, or at least like a common experience of like, why do we let ourselves struggle for so long? And it's only when we get to like breaking point that we actually do something about it. When realistically, did I know since October that I was hating my experience at the drama school I was at? Yes, I did. Did I know I wanted to leave? Yes, I did. But I kept going, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this work. And it was only when it really like bubbled up and I was like, oh no, like I'm done, that change was made. And from that came all the good, because I knew something had to change. And I kind of think somewhere deep down I knew what that change needed to be. I don't know that might be a bit woo-woo kind of oh yeah, I did, like, hindsight is always 2020 vision, do you know what I mean? Like, I can say that now, but at the time, did I know what needed to change? I'm not sure whether I did, whether it was subconscious that I knew. It is always at that point that you're like, no, I need to change something. It's always when you're at your lowest. And so I guess the point of this episode is, if you are at your lowest, if you are feeling rough, if one door has just closed, and I know A-level results have just come out last week, and so it's kind of perfect timing for this episode. If you have not got into your dream university, I am telling you right now, you are going to be successful in whatever you want to be successful in. You can do it. Going to a certain university doesn't make your dream more possible. Doesn't make you being successful more possible or less possible. You just have to work hard, and I know you can do it. And everyone says that, but I, like, genuinely, it's not the end of the world. And that's so horrible to hear. I know how horrible that is to hear. And I want to say, as a caveat to that, will it matter in the grand scheme of your life? No. No, it won't. But right now, it may feel like the end of the world. And that's okay. Let it feel like the end of the world. Let it feel shit, because, as I've said throughout this episode, sometimes it's in those moments of feeling like it's the end of the world that the little glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel ends up exploding into a whole sun. I don't know where that metaphor was going, but I kind of went wild. Maybe I'm in my inspirational era. Who knows? But yeah, I think I just wanted to say, like, if you are struggling, there is always hope. If you are struggling a little bit right now, if you are at rock bottom, there's always hope. And if you are struggling, look at what changes you can make. Do not wait. Do not procrastinate your own happiness, please, because it's not worth it. Life is too short to not be doing the things that you want to be doing, or hanging around in a shit job, or on a course that you don't love, or spending your life doing things that don't bring you joy. And obviously, there are basic necessities in life that need to be done. And not all of life can be fun. There are times when work is hard, but if it is constant, and if you are burnt out and not feeling fulfilled by what you're doing and not loving it, this is your sign. Go and find something else. Go and make that change that you've always wanted to do. Go and do that thing that you've always wanted to do. Play that sport. Try that fruit. I tried a dragon fruit the other day. Just because I saw it on the shelf and I thought, do you know what? I've never tried a dragon fruit. Let's go. Let's be a bit spontaneous and let's make changes before we hit rock bottom. I say that. Am I ever going to follow this advice? I don't know. I can't predict what future Millie will do. Probably she will stick it out because she loves making things hard for herself. But if she does, and if she reaches rock bottom again, I hope that she knows that there is probably something absolutely incredible around the corner for her. And I hope you know that too. So with that, I'm going to end the episode here. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you probably in 2 weeks' time, because when you're listening to this, it is actually moving day for both me and Hannah. Actually, Hannah is moving into a new flat, so big changes for both of us. But I think for season 2, we're going every other week, just while these changes happen, and to give us a bit more time and to make sure that the content is actually what we want to be putting out and what you want to be listening to. So yeah, with that, if you've enjoyed the episode, please give it a 5-star review, like, subscribe, go and follow us on the Instagram, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.